Okay, so welcome to the Midfield Money Podcast, where we talk strategy, we talk discipline, and then real plays behind building wealth, both on and off the field. And so today we're joined by someone who spends his days helping entrepreneurs build real financial structure and clarity. And so we have Hayden Cox from CleverProfits. CleverProfits is known for helping service-based businesses scale with clean financial systems, actionable insights, and then of course, data-driven decisions. And so welcome, Hayden. Thank you for joining us today. And so before we dive into the conversation, we'll just have Hayden give us a short breakdown of who he is and then just a short intro to his business.
Yeah. So as Lindsay said, I'm Hayden Cox, one of the partners at CleverProfits. CleverProfits is a fractional CFO firm. I have a background in financial accounting, audit. I got tired of audit, looking at things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And wanted to realize that business has already happened, and the business owner, they're not thinking about last year anymore, unless it's to help them make a decision on this year.
Yeah.
But and so I want to be more involved with why does it matter? It matters for what's going to happen in the future.
In the future, yeah.
And so that's where I think CleverProfits kind of came in and became a really good fit for me, was actually making the numbers mean something. Because without context, if we say I hit a ball 6 times, well, what does that matter? What sport are we playing? What's the context that defines that? Yeah. And I think it's easy to get lost in when everything matters, nothing matters. And so it was cool, coming to CleverProfits and kind of how we've developed it and progressed with it. And I think we see tangible impact on our clients.
Yeah, daily?
Daily? I think so. And here's why I'll say yes, because I think the way you get to the top of Everest is one step at a time.
100%.
And so some of those aren't always the most notable ones. Some days you might not make a lot of progress, but maybe it's catching breath, and that's an important part of getting there. And so I think daily, myself and our team are all actively interested in what does better look like and how do we get better.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's no one else that's going to give you a handout or tell you the secrets, and so you have to go and find out, and people will help you, but it's just it's not as, hey, help me,
Yeah.
I need to be intentional, what are the things I need to work on, our team needs to do that. So I think daily, and our clients receive that.
Love it. I have an interesting question. This is one of the questions I ask myself often, and it's one of the questions we will pose to Hayden today. What is the one thing that you do better than anyone else in the world? And I feel like at some point it becomes a difficult question if you don't know, but also if you know where you're headed or what you do or your passion and things, the question becomes a little bit easier. And so we'll pose that to Hayden today and just get his thoughts on what he thinks is the one thing that sets him apart from anyone else in the world.
Shucks. I think it's going to be an intersection of things. So I think there are people that are plenty more curious than I am. People are probably financially savvier, who know numbers better than I am, and people who are better at business than I am.
Yeah.
But I think, I think relationally, from what I've experienced at our company and with our clients, I think I do a good job of building trust, mostly because I'm actually interested in our clients and their lives and why it matters.
Yeah.
The curiosity leads me to not just making assumptions. Typically, I still probably make more assumptions than I should make, but it allows me to actually step in and be curious with what the client is experiencing, what the business is, why the problem exists, and that allows me to do a better job of problem solving. And so the intersection of those things, I think I do pretty well.
And I think trust is a big thing, because when you are working with people's financials and their money and their business, a lot of it is not directed, hey, let me discuss with you every day. I'm trusting you with my information, my business, my money. What are you doing with it? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a big part of CleverProfits, is that when businesses and clients come to them, there's that trust factor that, hey, you're dealing with my information and my things, do it for me. And so I think the important thing for today is, or what we would like to talk about, is money and financial literacy. And so we have a few questions we'd like to run through with Hayden and just get his thoughts on it, and some nuggets on moving forward for other people. And so the first question we have for you, Hayden, is what was your first proof of concept? So basically, Hayden's turning point where he realized that his effort started becoming an income? Like when you were younger or at this age, like what was the moment that unlocked that for you?
Yeah. So a mutual friend of ours, he, from a young age, like I was getting exposed to like, I think just world thinking, like he's a great thinker, and talking a little bit about money, but I realized like back then, like I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
And so I'd go and try to, one time, like I did work for him, and the cash that I made, I went to school and I started trying to lend money to people.
Yeah.
But people were like, and they didn't have lunch. I'm like, here's $1, give me $1.05 tomorrow. I'm like, well, no, I'll just give you $1 back tomorrow. I was like, no, you don't have lunch today.
Give me the extra, yes.
Yeah. And I didn't realize, just so many things were broken with that. But I was still like very, very curious. I was like, there's a world to this. And then I think where it really started to hit is actually I wanted to kind of leave the accounting field altogether at a certain point. And I was talking to him, he was like, why would you do that? You've spent 8 years getting decent at this. Like you think that you're going to go somewhere else. Like you chose this for a reason.
Yeah.
You think you're going to go somewhere else into a different field and have more success in that than where
you were studying.
And you're already like 8 years ahead. So you think you're not going to have to spend 8 years to get where you currently are, and you're going to go fast. Like what?
Yeah.
How does make it make sense? And so at that point, I was like, okay, what does it look like to double down in accounting and like consolidate my focus into this? And then the kind of proof of concept where it started to like actually yield money, I think, two other things on that is.
Go for it.
Compound interest is like, they say is the eighth wonder of the world. My take on why that is like many people know about it. The idea of reinvesting your profits and how it'll eventually grow. I think the reason that it's actually like that powerful is because so few people do it.
Yeah.
And so few people do it from a financial perspective, but also like within their own lives and their own skill sets. And I was guilty of that, of like, well, I'm not going to reinvest into like the gains I got. I'm not going to reinvest it. I'm just going to take it and I'll go do whatever, and I think distraction's a big part of that. So I think that's like the first thing that clicked for me is like, okay, how do I double down? And very few people a lot of people can do like the 80%, very few go the last 20%,
the 20%,
or even like the last 1%. And that's where I think a lot of gains are. So it's that, and then realizing with our like CleverProfits and our financial approach, it's really like, how do we simplify things? And what resonates, like what is true, and then we can obviously dig in and make way more numbers, but like we have to start somewhere, because if we throw all the numbers at the wall, it's like, well, which one?
Which one?
If everything's important, nothing's important.
So I think for each of us, everyone has that turning point in their life. It's just basically understanding or realizing when that turning point was. And so let's go on to the second one. So once money started coming in, how did you decide where to reinvest it? And if you reinvested it, and then so where? And so looking back, like what investment or decision has given you the best return so far, if so?
Yeah. So when I first got my first job, I was very interested in stocks, and so any excess money I had, I would put it there.
Okay.
And my brother was really into real estate at the time, and we were kind of going back and forth, and like foolishly made a bet of he'll never buy stocks, I'll never buy real estate. And we'll see in 30 years who has more money as a result of that.
Nice.
And so I was interested, and yet it got to a point, especially when I started working at CleverProfits, I'm like, why would I invest so heavily financially into
stocks?
Yeah, or into things I didn't have control over.
Okay.
Like Google I have no influence on. I'd have to buy a tremendous amount of Google to have any impact on what they do. And so it's like, would I rather bet on myself or bet on other things? And I don't know enough, actually, like I'm not when it comes to stocks and capital markets, I'm not like a day trader. I don't know those things well enough.
The in-betweens.
Exactly. And so that's when I think that things shifted for me of like, oh, I should actually just like continue to reinvest in the thing that's like gotten me so far to where I am. And so a lot of it has been in CleverProfits. I would say, another example is like NVIDIA is, I think, the largest company in the world right now.
Oh my gosh.
But like looking at where they spend money is like I think 40% of every dollar they bring in, they reinvest into something for tomorrow, of like making sure that the company's around tomorrow. And thinking about that for our company and like just even for my own lifestyle, it's like, well, what are the things that I want tomorrow? How do I reinvest in that?
Yeah. InVideo has definitely been giving me a run for my money lately. I've been trying to create videos in it, and when I tell you, I've seen the few changes in the app where you can edit, like whether you have it landscape or etc. But it's given me a run for money.
Yes.
Trust me.
Yes.
Okay, so walk us through your personal money system. You of course don't have to go into the depth of depths, but like give us some insight on how you track, how you plan, how you automate your finances to stay organized and intentional with them.
Yeah. So when I first got married to my wife, we had a counselor kind of talking to us about money, and he's an older person, doesn't have any kids. It's him and his wife both work, and so like income's fine. And he said a rule that they made was anything over $50 that they're gonna buy, they talk to each other about. No, groceries, of course not. And I was like, that's weird. But like he was like, not weird, but like why? Because that's not like you don't need to. And his bigger thing actually was like, well, if I'm gonna spend a non-small amount of money, like it's something I'm interested in.
Okay.
And like, you know, I don't know if it was like, let's say Pokemon, wouldn't I want my wife to know like that's an interest of mine instead of just like buying it and like, oh, what's this? And like, you know, just actually bringing them into it and being a partner in it. So we've tried to do that. I think different periods have been harder for us to, you know, stick to that.
Is there also a certain number that if you spend at this point, you discuss with each other, and if it's anything lower, it's like, hey, it's my interest?
$50.
Okay.
And when we first started, we tried allocating like, you know, maybe I think it was like $200 a person a month that they could spend without
without consultation.
But it became kind of weird because I never really spent a lot. But it was because like the stage of life that I'm in. It's not like I'm good with like I have the temptations of like, I like shopping or whatnot. Like it's not like I say no to everything. But I just didn't do it as much, and my wife did, and then it was like, well, you overspend, and like it was just I didn't like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But then what we used at the very beginning was this budgeting app called YNAB. It's you need it like YNAB.
Okay.
And it's you need a budget is what it stands for. And the idea there is that like every dollar has a purpose. If you don't give it a purpose, it'll be wasted essentially. So that was actually really helpful for like starting to like plan the month ahead of like where am I going to put these dollars, rent. You know, like you have your normal things, but it's like, okay, well, do I have $300 left over? What am I going to spend that on? And then we've recently switched to an app called Monarch. It's just a bit more streamlined for us to track our expenses and budget. And doesn't have the finicky components about it. And so I really like that one. And then what else on the finance side?
I think that is brilliant. Just sorry to disrupt you. There was two apps that Hayden gave us. One is YNAB, and then the other one is Monarch.
Yeah, Monarch, like the king.
Nice. So tools that we can use to track your finances, and so that is a great tool. Is there anything else you have on that question, or you happy to move on to the next?
That's great.
Sweet. So right now, actually no, sorry. This is an interesting one. So everyone makes mistakes early. I've made them. There's many people out there that makes financial mistakes. And so if you look back, if you think about a mistake that you made, or I'm sure there is many, you can speak on that. What is the data or the structure or the discipline that helped you basically fix or rectify that financial mistake that you made in that moment?
Yeah. So I think most of the mistakes I would have made is like spending money without a purpose. Like having, I don't have a lot of shoes, but being like, if I bought a pair of shoes, why? You know, like, there's only 7 days in a week and I can only wear one pair of shoes at a time. So and so like just not knowing the objective or not actively thinking about it. And especially earlier on when I was younger and it felt like, well, college is so expensive. So like, what's the difference of $10 in my college budget versus zero? Like I'll still need to pay, you know, everything else. And so what's really helping is actually just having a longer term objective. Because for me personally, that just like, I start to stop caring. I'm like, no, this really matters. And this is like the core thing and kind of building a life around that. So like one of the things is I want in my life, like I like the idea of having a place where my family can always come back to. And so part of it is like, I want enough land to be able to build, you know, structures, housing for my kids if they have, you know, their wives to like we could have Christmas all together without, you know, sleeping.
Where do we go?
The childhood parents. And so that that's my number one thing. It's like, well, does this get me closer to that? If yes, then do it. And if not, like a second pair of shoes doesn't make too much of a difference for like it's not going to help me get more land.
So if we talk about numbers, so if you had the mistake that you made back then, like if you talk about figures, what was the amount that you had spent that you felt, hey, this was too much?
Yeah, so everything I made before I was 20, wasted. Yeah, like I didn't save any of it. So it all went out. So I probably made $10,000 from 13 to 20 years old that I just spent on nothing that lasted, that I still have. And no, I shouldn't say wasted, because I think there's ways of like investing into things or experiences or relationships. But that was that. Another mistake financially I would have made is I bought an expensive engagement ring and I used a loan for that. I used my student loan.
Are you okay with giving us the numbers, or is that a bit personal?
No, I'm pretty chill with that. I think it was $4,600.
That is in dollars, guys. So 4,600, so $4,600. You can do the math, convert that into rands, and then that was Hayden's engagement ring.
Yeah.
Price.
I slept on my. It was my senior year. I slept on my friend. He had an apartment by himself, and I was like, "Hey, can I sleep in your living room on the floor?"
Yeah.
And so I had a little curtain that went around my bed, and I slept on the floor to be able to, because I had spent my house on the engagement ring. So. And then the last one would be I bought a new car. Like in my first job, I had an old in the U.S. It's a Subaru Legacy. It was 30 years old, had 300,000 miles on it. So I don't know what that is in kilometers, but a lot.
Yeah.
Or it's probably close to 500,000 kilometers.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And I was having to drive an hour plus every day, and I was like, I'm concerned about this car breaking down. And it wasn't a horrible decision in the moment, but like my company would pay me the mileage that I drove. So I did the math. I was like, based off of how I'm driving, I could get a new car and I'd actually be still making money.
Yeah.
So I bought a new car, then COVID happened.
I know. Yeah.
And I looking back, I probably should have just saved up the cash, waited for my car to actually die, and then buy what only was necessary instead of like above and beyond that. And I've actually made that mistake many times with vehicles. I think vehicles are an area where, honestly, it's like
it's a gray area.
It's embarrassing to say, but I spent way too much on it because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't actually get that much enjoyment from the vehicle, from a nicer vehicle versus a non-nice vehicle.
Yeah.
So
I think if a vehicle takes you from A to B, that's basically all you need. A to B safely without the vehicle breaking down. And that's one of the things I also had to face. And so this is real life situations, whether it's myself or it's someone else or it's Hayden's, that we all experience these things and it affects us financially. And so it's good to hear real life stories that we are having today. So where you at right now, whether it's in your business or in your personal life or capacity, at what stage of the financial growth do you say you are in? And then what do you feel like, what is the next measurable milestone that you like working towards?
Yeah. So I would say, I don't know the stages, but I would like where I'm at is I never thought I'd get to this place. Like I remember when I didn't want to go to university, and then I realized university is the easiest path for me to get to somewhere else because I didn't have a certain skill set to not go to university and still get there. And so I didn't have a great understanding of money and like how much is a lot. Well, I think I did actually. Yeah. And I got there after like 5 years out of university. And so I reached the point where I was like, this would be a dream to retire with. But that's in terms of what I make. In terms of like, I think wealth is more than just that though. So I feel still like very early on there. I'm making still a lot of mistakes of like how we manage the money that comes in the household. Yeah. I think that's why I also prefer to like reinvest it into the business because the household isn't, you know, it's like investing in my wife and in my kids, but it's a little bit different. So I think still very, very early on, like I still have to work.
You have lots.
Yeah.
A long way to go.
Yes. And like I don't own a home, don't own a vehicle, like have notes on both of those items.
Okay.
And so it's my, and like if Clever didn't do well, then I wouldn't have it. And so maybe the other thing I'll say on that is I'm at a place where I know that I can still make money and things, but I don't know, still trying to figure out like how to build that wealth and really indexing on business to do that.
Okay, got you. I think I think the next question is a really good one, because we all have our understanding of certain things. And so I'd love to hear yours. What do you feel, what do you think is your personal definition of financial freedom?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like to you?
The first thing that comes to mind is our mutual friend. I met him we were meeting up for coffee, and I was like, can we do 7? Because I have to work at 8.
Yeah.
And as he rocks up at 7, he's like, peasant o'clock. I was like, and then it clicked for me. I was like, right, I don't own my time.
Yep.
Like, even the time that is mine, I don't actually own, because it's the main thing that I structure my life around is working for somebody else.
Yeah.
That was as an employee, and it's not too different as an employer. Because I'm still beholden to clients. Like, I'm still like, okay, like I told you, like I'll stay while in South Africa,
Yep.
I'll stay online late to speak to a client. So I think that would be like how I know there's two things. One, having control over my time.
Okay.
And 2, being able to include my kids in my life. Like our mutual friend, I really respect how like he doesn't have, it's not like work, life, you know, like
it's all incorporated.
It's the same. And I want that.
Sweet. So for somebody starting out today, whether it's in accounting like you do, or just wanting to go forward for themselves, if you had to give them, if you have 3 great, or if you have 1 or 2, like financial habits that they should build, like realistically, and then what outcomes they can expect after maybe a year of consistency. Like, do you have anything for them?
Yeah. I think the first one is like, look at the numbers regularly.
Okay.
And so if you're never looking at them, like,
how would you know?
Don't try to do it every minute, because that's gonna be like, make bite-sized, objectives. And so I think it's good to look at it at least once a week. But if money's not moving weekly, then maybe not. Yeah. Because then you start to get a frame for like where's the money going, what's realistic. And then a second thing that I think has been very helpful is identify what you like, or what you love, and be open to that. Like, there is another mentor of mine that he talks about how he spends lavishly on the things he loves, and like ruthlessly frugal on everything else. And so it's this idea like, you can't love everything, love 10 things, like 10% of the things. And so this person, he loves to travel. And so he spends money on flights and on hotels. He is like, lives in a shoebox, even though he doesn't need to. Yeah. And he drives like a nothing vehicle. Like I think probably a vehicle similar to what I was driving. And I think that mindset is like really helpful, because it actually like allows you to do what you want to do. Yeah. But if you don't actually set that up, I've fallen prey to like, well, I want to do this, or I want to do that. And it's like, oh no, I don't love it. And so I'm not going to spend as, aggressively on it. And then the third item, especially early on in the career, that's when you're going to make the least amount of money. Like when I was 13, I made less than when I was 14, and so on and so forth. And so as people make more money, find ways of investing that, whether it be into the business or into other business. Like, I think owning something is really important. Okay. And so saving to be able to own something is, I think, one of the paths to like financial freedom. But if you continue like, oh, I made more money, I'm going to get a nicer house, I'm going to get a nicer car, as I've fallen very much prey to, it is hard to, outrun that wheel.
Sweet. I think consistency is key. So whether it's over a year or whether it's over 5 years, I think Hayden's valid point is tracking like what you're actually spending, where you're going, and how you are planning with your money. And so thank you, Hayden, for sharing your insights, your framework, your mindset behind building real measurable financial freedom. I think today's talk was amazing and brilliant, and so thank you for your time.
It's an absolute pleasure, Lindsay.
For everyone listening, if you found this conversation from Hayden helpful, your next step is simple. Take one idea that Hayden has shared and then put it into action this week. And so don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and then share this episode with someone who you feel needs it. And so thank you for tuning into our Midfield Money Podcast, and we'll see you for our next episode.